Urologist. If you don't masturbate in old age, this will happen to you. Most men think they're doing the right thing by stopping, but not masturbating in old age can quietly harm your prostate, sleep, and blood flow. It's not about lust, it's about life force. The last reason? It'll completely change your view. Stay to the end. Your energy depends on this. Energy circulates. We commence our reflections today by contemplating a principle that underpins all of life, from the vast cosmic dances to the most intimate functions of our own physiology. Energy is, by its very nature, designed to move, to circulate, to transform. It is not meant to become entirely static or perpetually damned without consequence. When we consider the context of intimate self-expression, particularly as one navigates the later seasons of life, it's crucial to shift our perspective from a purely mechanical or solely procreative viewpoint to one that acknowledges the subtle yet powerful energetic currents that are at play. The human body, in its profound and innate wisdom, is not a machine that simply wears out and requires all functions to cease, but rather a dynamic, self-regulating energetic system that continuously seeks balance and strives to maintain a degree of healthy flow throughout all its pathways. The vital essence we possess, often referred to in ancient traditions as chi or prana, is the very animating force of our being. This energy nourishes our organs, fuels our thoughts, warms our spirit, and sustains our physical presence. In the specific domain of our generative system, this energy doesn't simply vanish with age. It transforms. Its quantity and quality may shift, but its fundamental nature is still one that benefits from a degree of harmonious movement. To adopt a mindset of complete cessation of any form of personal intimate expression, perhaps driven by societal conditioning that equates old age with asexuality, or by a misunderstanding that any such activity will inevitably lead to depletion, can inadvertently lead to a different kind of energetic imbalance, that of stagnation. Imagine a garden pond. If fresh water is never allowed to gently flow in and out, the water can become still, then murky, and the ecosystem within it may begin to suffer. Similarly, the subtle energies related to our generative capacity, if consistently and completely suppressed or ignored, particularly if this goes against a natural, albeit perhaps gentler individual inclination, can lead to a form of internal energetic congestion or stuckness. This isn't necessarily about a problematic buildup in a purely physical sense for everyone, but more about an energetic potential that isn't being allowed its natural expression or transformation. This stagnation might not manifest as an immediate or dramatic crisis, but can contribute over time to a subtle dampening of one's overall vitality, a feeling of heaviness or lethargy, or perhaps even a kind of emotional or creative inertia. The ancient masters understood that for energy to remain vibrant and healthful, it must be guided, circulated, and sometimes gently expressed or consciously transmuted. A complete halt, especially if it is not accompanied by profound spiritual practices specifically designed to refine and redirect that conserved essence, may not serve the holistic well-being of every individual. The key is to appreciate that our energetic system is interconnected. Stagnation in one area can, over time, have ripple effects on other aspects of our health and vitality. Therefore, the premise that one shouldn't engage in personal intimate expression in old age, if taken as an absolute and fear-based injunction, may overlook the body's ongoing need for balanced energetic flow and the potential subtle detriments of prolonged unaddressed stagnation in this vital energetic sphere. The wisdom lies in finding an individually appropriate rhythm, one that honors the changing capacities of age while still allowing for the life force to circulate harmoniously. Body expressors, let us now consider the inherent nature of our physical being as an expressive vessel, a form that is constantly seeking to communicate its state, its needs, and its vitality. Our bodies are not inert objects, but living, breathing organisms imbued with an intelligence that far surpasses our conscious comprehension. Throughout our lives, this body has various ways of expressing its energy, its health, and its imbalances, and the intimate sphere is one such significant avenue of expression and experience. As we age, the nature of these expressions may change, the intensity may modulate, but the fundamental drive for a degree of healthy, balanced functioning often remains. If we choose or are led by circumstance or belief to completely cease any form of personal, intimate expression in our later years, the "if you don't" scenario, we are, in essence, choosing to close off one of the body's natural pathways for energetic release, circulation, and even self-assessment. This isn't to say that everyone must maintain a certain level of activity, for individual paths and constitutions vary immensely. However, it is to question the potential consequences if this cessation is not a truly conscious, peaceful, and integrated choice, but rather one born of fear, resignation, shame, or a misunderstanding of the body's ongoing energetic life. Consider the physical systems involved. The prostate gland in men, for example, benefits from a degree of regular flushing or activity to maintain its health and prevent congestion. While the medical perspectives on frequency are varied and complex, a complete and prolonged absence of any such activity, especially if it represents a stark change from earlier life patterns, may, for some individuals, contribute to an environment where issues are more likely to arise. This isn't just about urology in a narrow sense, but about the principle of use it or lose it, which applies to some degree to many bodily functions. When a system is not gently stimulated or engaged, its tissues can lose tone, its circulation can become less robust, and its overall resilience can diminish. Beyond specific glands, the broader pelvic region, with its complex network of muscles, nerves, and blood vessels, benefits from periodic engagement. This activity helps maintain blood flow, nerve sensitivity, and muscle tone, all of which contribute to overall pelvic health and can impact bladder function, bowel regularity, and even lower back comfort. If there is a complete and sustained disengagement from any form of intimate activation in this area, these supportive functions may subtly decline over time, contributing to a general sense of physical discomfort or a lessened feeling of vitality in the body's core. Furthermore, the act of intimate self-expression, even solitary, involves a release of various neurochemicals, including endorphins, which can have positive effects on mood, stress levels, and sleep quality. If this avenue for natural stress relief and mood elevation is completely removed and not consciously replaced with other equally effective practices, an individual might find themselves more susceptible to anxiety, low mood, or sleep disturbances. The body has its own wisdom. It often provides pathways for self-regulation and pleasure that also confer health benefits. To summarily decide that one such pathway is off-limits in old age without a deep holistic understanding may be to inadvertently deny oneself a natural means of maintaining balance and well-being. The key consideration is that the body often continues to produce vital essences and maintain energetic potential throughout life. If this inherent generativity meets a complete wall of non-expression, the question arises, where does that energy go? Does it stagnate? Does it create subtle pressure? Or does it contribute to a sense of unfulfillment that isn't always consciously recognized as such? Systemic health? When we explore the potential consequences of completely abstaining from personal intimate expression in later life, it's crucial to adopt a perspective that acknowledges the deeply interconnected nature of our being. Health is not merely the absence of disease in one isolated organ or system, but a state of harmonious functioning across the entire mind-body energy continuum. The choices we make regarding even the most private aspects of our lives can have subtle yet far-reaching ripple effects on our overall systemic health. The energy and physiological processes associated with our intimate lives are not walled off from the rest of our bodily functions. They are part of an integrated whole. Consider the impact on the endocrine system. The experience of arousal and release, even in a solitary context, involves a cascade of hormonal shifts that communicate with various parts of the body, influencing metabolism, mood, and immune function, among other things. While these hormonal shifts change with age, the system often continues to seek a certain dynamic balance. A prolonged and complete cessation of any stimulation in this sphere could, for some individuals, contribute to a more pronounced or rapid decline in certain hormonal activities than might otherwise occur, or lead to a less adaptive hormonal environment. This isn't about trying to unnaturally maintain youthful hormone levels, but about supporting the endocrine system's capacity for graceful and balanced adaptation throughout the aging process by not completely shutting down one of its natural feedback loops. Similarly, the cardiovascular system benefits from periodic increases in heart rate and blood flow that can accompany arousal. While vigorous activity might not be appropriate or desired by everyone in later life, even gentler forms of intimate expression provide a mild circulatory stimulus that can contribute to maintaining vascular elasticity and health, particularly in the pelvic region, but also systemically. If all such stimuli are removed indefinitely, this may subtly reduce the overall tonicity and responsiveness of the circulatory pathways over the very long term, especially if not compensated for by other forms of appropriate exercise. Furthermore, the nervous system plays a central role. The sensations, emotions, and relaxation response often associated with intimate release help to modulate autonomic nervous system balance, potentially shifting it away from a chronic stress-dominant sympathetic state towards a more restorative parasympathetic state. If this natural mechanism for stress discharge and nervous system rebalancing is consistently foregone, an individual might find it harder to manage daily stressors, potentially leading to an accumulation of nervous tension that can manifest in various physical or emotional symptoms, such as muscle stiffness, digestive issues, or heightened anxiety. The crucial point is that the body has innate mechanisms for maintaining health, and gentle, mindful, intimate expression can be one of those mechanisms, supporting systemic coherence. To completely and indefinitely not do it without conscious strategies to support these systemic interconnections through other means, like specific meditative practices that balance hormones, targeted exercises for pelvic and cardiovascular health, and dedicated stress management techniques, may inadvertently lead to a gradual unraveling of some of these supportive synergies, potentially contributing to a less resilient and less vibrant state of overall health as the years advance. It's about recognizing that this isn't just a localized act, but an event that resonates through the entire interconnected web of our being. Emotional resonance. Beyond the more directly physiological or energetic considerations, we must also acknowledge the profound emotional resonance of our intimate lives and how a complete and prolonged cessation of personal expression in old age can impact our inner world. Our capacity for intimate feeling, for self-connection through touch and sensation, does not necessarily diminish with the passing years, though its expression may evolve. For many, personal intimate practices, even in solitude, have served as a means of self-soothing, stress relief, emotional release, and a way to connect with a sense of pleasure and aliveness that is fundamental to human experience. If this avenue is completely closed off, especially if the decision is driven by external societal messages about what is appropriate for older individuals, or by personal shame or fear rather than a deeply felt inner calling towards authentic asceticism, there can be significant emotional consequences. A sense of unacknowledged loss or quiet deprivation may set in. The individual might feel a subtle but pervasive lack of something vital, even if they cannot consciously articulate what it is. This isn't necessarily about a craving for a specific act, but perhaps a yearning for a certain quality of self-connection, sensory aliveness, and emotional release that this practice once provided. When we don't do it indefinitely, we may be inadvertently creating an emotional vacuum that, if left unaddressed, can lead to feelings of flatness, low mood, irritability, or even a sense of being disconnected from one's own body and its capacity for pleasure. This can be particularly true if there are no other rich sources of emotional nourishment, joyful engagement, or deep sensory pleasure in one's life. Furthermore, the societal narratives around aging and sexuality can often lead to feelings of shame or a sense that one should be beyond such things. If an individual internalizes these messages and suppresses their natural inclinations out of a sense of obligation or propriety, the inner conflict itself can be a source of emotional distress. The act of denying a part of oneself, even if it's a part that has become quieter with age, can lead to a fractured sense of self and a diminishment of overall life satisfaction. The body remembers pleasure, and it remembers the pathways to self-soothing. To arbitrarily cut off a familiar and often effective means of navigating emotional states without consciously cultivating equally potent alternatives can leave one feeling more vulnerable and less resourced in the face of life's challenges. The regret some may experience later is not necessarily for the absence of sex, but for the lost connection to a part of their own emotional landscape, for the foregone opportunities for self-comfort and gentle joy. This emotional resonance also ties into self-esteem and body image. Acknowledging and engaging with one's capacity for pleasure, however it manifests, can be an affirmation of one's continued vitality and worthiness. To deny this aspect entirely can subtly reinforce negative beliefs about aging and desirability, even self-desirability, potentially leading to a more withdrawn and less confident engagement with life. Therefore, the decision to not do it should be carefully examined for its emotional underpinnings and potential repercussions on one's inner sense of well-being and connectedness to the full spectrum of human feeling. Life's continuity. Ultimately, when we consider the implications of complete and prolonged abstention from personal intimate expression in the later stages of life, we are contemplating an aspect of life's continuity, the enduring presence of our vital force and its innate desire for some form of balanced expression and harmonious flow throughout our entire existence. To choose to not do it is a significant decision, and while it can be a valid path for some, particularly those on specific, disciplined spiritual journeys involving conscious transmutation of energy. For many others, if this choice is made from a place of fear, misinformation, resignation, or societal pressure, the consequences may involve a gradual diminishing of not just specific functions, but of a certain essential vibrancy. The life force within us is, by its very nature, generative and creative. It seeks to move, to express, to connect. When one of its fundamental avenues of expression is completely shut down, and if that energy is not consciously and skillfully redirected into other equally potent creative, spiritual, or relational channels, it can lead to a kind of inner desiccation, a subtle fading of one's inner light and zest for living. This isn't necessarily about predicting specific diseases or dramatic urological events for everyone who abstains, but rather about acknowledging a more holistic principle. Life thrives on appropriate engagement and balanced flow. If a significant stream is dammed and its waters are not thoughtfully channeled elsewhere, the surrounding landscape may slowly lose some of its fertility and vibrancy. In the context of old age, maintaining a connection to one's vital energies, in whatever form feels authentic and health-affirming, can be a profound way to affirm life itself, to stay engaged with the body's wisdom, and to continue to experience the fullness of one's human potential, which includes the capacity for pleasure, self-connection, and energetic harmony. The consequence of not doing it, if that choice leads to significant energetic stagnation, emotional unfulfillment, or a disconnect from one's embodied self, could be a premature relinquishing of a certain quality of aliveness, a more rapid embrace of decline than is perhaps necessary or inevitable. It may contribute to a sense of being old before one's time, not just physically, but in spirit. The body often reflects our engagement with it. If we treat it as if certain parts are no longer relevant or worthy of attention, those parts may indeed begin to reflect that neglect. Conversely, by continuing to honor all aspects of our being, by seeking a balanced and mindful expression of our energies in ways that are appropriate for our age and constitution, we signal to our entire system that we are still fully engaged in the dance of life. This, in turn, can support greater resilience, a more positive outlook, and a deeper appreciation for the precious gift of our continuing journey. The choice is deeply personal, but it should be an informed and conscious one, recognizing that non-action also has consequences, and that life in its essence seeks to continue its vital, harmonious expression through us for as long as we are here. The journey through our later years is an invitation to deeper wisdom, a more refined understanding of our own being, not a wholesale shutting down of life's essential expressions. The body continues to be a sacred vessel, a source of experience and connection, even as it transforms with time. To choose a path of complete disengagement from any personal intimate expression without a profound, conscious redirecting of that vital energy into other fulfilling avenues may lead to subtle yet significant diminishments in overall vitality, emotional resonance, and that essential spark of aliveness. It is not about fearing abstinence, but about understanding the importance of conscious choice, balanced energetic flow, and honoring the body's enduring needs for harmonious expression. May you navigate your choices with clarity, listen deeply to your own unique constitution, and continue to cultivate a vibrant, flowing connection with the life force that animates you in every season. This discussion about the consequences of complete abstention really brings a different light to the use it or lose it idea, not just physically, but energetically and emotionally. The point about emotional resonance and the potential for unacknowledged loss feels very true. For those who have perhaps navigated periods of reduced activity, either by choice or circumstance, how did you find ways to maintain that vital connection with yourself and your emotional well-being? What alternatives brought that sense of aliveness or self-soothing?